So I reiterate here, the bill is dead.
The story of this great city is about the years before this night. We are free!
Hey everybody, it's Ho Ho Hong Kong. I'm your host, Mohammed Magdi. I'm very excited and sound alone if you're waiting for the other guy to interrupt me as usual. He is not here today. I give him a break. I fired him from this very unpaid job. First of all, before we bring in the guest, who you probably know now by looking at the title of the episode, we're very excited by and kind of overwhelmed, to be honest, by the response that we had to the first episode that we released after the break from last year. It's very cool. You guys have been messaging for months. When is it coming back? When is it coming back? We decided 2023. Hey, hashtag YOLO. We're doing it. Let's see how long it will take, but we're here. We're very excited. I am Mohammed Magdi. I'm at the other Mohammed on Instagram. Vivek has some shows coming up. You should follow him at Funny Vivek. Things in Hong Kong are completely normal, which feels almost weird. It feels like it's not normal being this normal. Like I had a few friends come through over the last couple of weeks, and they just blitzed through the airport. And my friend the other day came from the door of the plane to the airport express in exactly 23 minutes. And someone else, who has been a guest on the podcast many times, did a quote-unquote experiment when she put her mask down from the door of the plane. I'm looking at you, Cassie. Yes, I'm going to name you on record. Put her mask down just to see when the first time someone will call her out. The first person who called her out to put the mask on was her taxi driver outside of the airport. So that's pretty cool, and you guys know I am a huge anti-masker, so I'm all for that. All right, so the reason I'm actually by myself this time as a host is because we have a very special guest, as you can tell from the title. John Buckman is back on the podcast. It's the third time on the podcast.
Hey.
Hey, John, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm by myself because this is our workplace. John is my boss, but also I'm very happy to call him my friend. And he is about to leave Hong Kong again because he's a very busy man and he has a bunch of stuff going on. So I wanted to catch him before he leaves, and we couldn't get him in the studio. He is literally flying tonight, the day we record. You guys are listening to this about 2 weeks later. So, John, very happy to have you again. So we had you the first time. We kind of did a classic episode of like what Decent Espresso is about. It was Andy Curtin and myself. Second time you guys came on was you and Bugs, your partner, and you talked about your love for Hong Kong. This time we're going a completely different route. So a little bit of my background is that I studied accounting. I went to business school, right? And I'm supposed to be working in a bank. I do not like banks. I am someone who is able to put himself mentally in places and decide it's not for him. And I just don't even try. And everything about the banks that I studied turned me off. And my mother is actually an accountant. And we have had a lot of arguments about it when I'm like, this is the most boring job in the world. I would rather work something, carrying bricks or whatever. At least I'm building myself like physically. This is just like death in a job. And she was like, you don't understand how intriguing and how satisfying when you get the balance sheet. I'm like, no. And I always struggled with that. I never worked in a bank. And as you probably know from my resume, I've had some very shady jobs when I was young. And as you told me, like the fact that I'm able to do these jobs without having any moral, like strong, what's the word?
Objection
about it, but yet the banks seem to be a problem for me. It's really telling something coming from someone who's not worked in a bank ever. You, on the other hand, have started and sold a few companies. And in our chats, we have known each other for now 2 years, and our chats always come up how strongly you feel against banks. And this is what I wanted this episode to kind of lean on a bit. Why do you hate banks? A very simple question first.
The main problem with banks is they do a really bad job of delivering what they're supposed to deliver, which is helping you save your money and spend it wisely and grow it. But I also think that the vast majority of people I've encountered in the banking sector are, let's just say, ethically challenged. and they're not in the normal competitive environment with other businesses trying to do what's best for you. So I learned about this because I came into some money when I sold a company, and I took that money and I went to a couple of different banks.
What was the first company?
A company called Lyris. It was those email newsletters and discussions.
Okay.
And so I take that money and I go to a couple of different banks in London and I say, give me a proposal. And what I'd like is whatever your proposal is, imagine that we met 10 years ago and show me what would happen if that proposal had been executed for 10 years.
Right.
Now, I know the numbers are there. I know they can totally do that. And not a single bank would do that.
And you're talking about the big banks, Barclays, HSBC.
And we're talking about tens of millions of dollars here.
Right.
So it should be worth their while. Now, of course, they don't want to. And the reason they don't want to is they don't want transparency. Just very, very clearly.
So you are someone who is clearly a multimillionaire. You're walking into the bank. Everyone is standing up, giving you the greeting, the coffees and whatnot.
Yeah,
just
expensive expensive cookies and all that.
Exactly. Yeah. So walk a layman like me into through this. So it's like, okay, Mr. Buckman, please give us your money. Right? It's basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I walk into a bank, for example, big huge lobby in London, and they got me waiting by the sofa, and I see some books in the distance, and I go over there and I look at it and I'm like, holy shit, that's first edition Adam Smith right there.
Yeah.
I pull it down. I'm like, do you guys know you have Wealth of Nations just sitting here, first edition? And this thing is worth, they're like, oh, do we? Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Of course, it's there to impress the rubes like me. That's why it's there.
Yeah.
So I just asked that question and I said, okay, in the last 10 years, the stock market's fluctuated by whatever. I named some a number. Can you guys come up with something that halves that fluctuation for me? And just show me, and I'll give you my money. If you can just have the fluctuation. And, or if you're going to give me a so-called balanced portfolio, tell me how it's balanced. Show me how it's balanced. Like if it's balanced, it should fluctuate less. Just some really, really basic questions.
And were they freaked out by these questions?
They just totally ignored me.
Right.
They just gave me their
standard
thing,
script,
an inch of paperwork, blah blah blah. So, and I started thinking about the kind of questions I would have, like, okay, I want to remodel my kitchen. I've got some stocks. What stocks should I sell to make some money to remodel my kitchen?
Right.
Or how do I even build a balanced portfolio? Like, how do you do that? And so I decided to create a website called stockmarkethacks.com. And
okay, slow down. So this is right after you walk out of the meetings with the banks. You're like, fuck it.
This is not hard.
Right.
I'm going to sort this out. Like, I just had an idea. I could solve some of these questions.
And your background, you're a coder. Like you know how to build websites.
I'm just a coder, and the background was I'd read it was the Consumer Reports Guide to Money, right? So it's super highbrow, right?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And I had some questions like, okay, if I want to buy some stock, should I buy it all at once or should I buy it over several days?
Right.
Or can you give me an answer? Like even a hunch doesn't have to be right. Just like something. Advise me for your 1% fee on my money every year, or 2% actually when they add fees. So. I started making a list of all these questions.
How old were you? Sorry.
I was, I don't know, 28, something like that.
Okay.
28, I think is about right. And I decided to make this website, and I didn't even know if it'd be anonymous. I wanted to make it free because I already made my money.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need this. Why don't I make it free? And
the thought of making it anonymous is obviously for fear of like either legal or something even worse.
Initially, I wasn't going to make it anonymous, but then I started showing it to people, and I'll tell you where this goes. So I come up with some stuff like, okay, let's make a balanced proposal. So give me one stock, and I'll give you a list of the stocks that are least correlated to that. Okay, and then you pick two stocks, and I'll give you a third, and then you can just. This is like math.
Yeah.
It's really, really straightforward, yet it's totally not available. And other things, like I found at the time I was, I still am actually an American taxpayer, and I found some basic things you could do to greatly reduce your taxes if you just had the computer help you. And all these banks, they would use this expression.
And we're not talking like the Trump way of like,
No.
if you're smart, you're gonna,
No, so
fuck around the books or whatever.
No, if you have some Google stock that went up and you sell it, you owe some tax. But let's say you have some Microsoft stock that went down. If you sell it the same year, you get to deduct the loss from the gain.
Right.
Like super, super simple.
So you're not quote unquote gaming the system.
You're
You
not gaming
just
the system.
need to understand the rules.
Yeah,
it's what it is.
It's called loss harvesting, and it's in the Consumer Reports Guide to Money. It's not rocket science. It's not illegal at all. But I just need some software to help me, and no bank would actually do that. So
And the reason they don't want to do that is because they want
they want to churn you.
Yeah,
they want to churn the hell out of you. And what they don't want to tell you is that, especially as an American, you pay short-term or long-term cap gains depending on how long you held the stock. And if you didn't hold it very long, you pay a lot more taxes. But they want to churn it constantly because every time they churn, they get two pieces of commission. One, the visible commission on how much they charge you, and then the other one, which is the invisible one, which is how much they actually paid for the stock versus how much you paid. And there's a spread there, and you'll never know what that was.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, they're constantly selling, buying, selling because that's how they make their money. And they come up with an excuse for that. When now everyone knows it's much better just to hold. Now, a lot of people know this.
Do you think
dirty
the
secret.
people like learn the hodl thing from just the crypto boom?
No, I think so. I mean, now for about 20 years, people have known that owning stocks and trying to trade them is a fool's game, which is why so much money is now in what's called index funds. And you just buy it, you hold it, the fees are low.
Yeah.
But that's actually not great. If you invest in an index fund and you need some money, when you have to sell parts of the whole fund, you can't sell just the stuff that went up.
That's actually, yeah, that's what my buddy told me as well, who is like pretty high up in one of the financial advisories. He's like, it's good, because I was asking him at some point what to do. He's like, you can put it there, but just you can't take money out, really.
Yeah, you're just going to pay higher taxes on it.
Yeah.
Because you can't sell just the stuff that went up, because you sell high, buy low. But if you put it all in the same pot, it's all mixed up.
Right.
So I had another thing I wanted to do, like this thing called the S&P 500. It's the 500 biggest companies in the U.S.
Right.
Like, could the computer just tell me, pick 10 stocks randomly, how closely is it following the S&P?
Right.
Or is it 20 or 30 stocks? Can I just mimic it? These are really, really basic things.
And none of these resources are available
This
online.
is not on the internet. None of this stuff is on the internet. So
And even
I wrote
for
it all.
someone who has this much money, if you go to the bank and be like, hey, I have this much money,
No.
can you help me with this? Or can you do this for me for your commission? The answer is no.
Yeah, they don't even engage in that conversation.
Right.
And as
Okay,
far as I
so-
can tell, this stuff's not even available.
Do you
to
think
anybody.
they know how to do that and they just do not want to like...
I don't think it makes them money. So no, they
Right.
don't want to even do it.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
I just don't think so. Like if you go to the bank and you say, I want you to buy 20 shares and then hold them for 10 years,
Right.
they're like, go away.
Right.
Or they'll just charge you 2% just to hold it, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And obviously for someone, I'm also trying to imagine you in your life at this point when you have sold 28 years old, sold a company, made hundreds, like millions
Tens
of
of
dollars.
millions. Tens of millions
Yeah.
of time.
Tens of millions of dollars. But also what I'm saying is that you don't have the pressure to just find another job or whatever. You're like,
I'm never working again.
yeah, exactly. I'm never working again. So fuck these people. All right. So, okay. Walk me through what you did next.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to make a website that basically answers, I think, of all the questions I want the banking world to answer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a page for it, and I'm going to figure out how to come up with an answer.
Right.
And not just that, what will happen is it'll give you an Excel spreadsheet that you can then hand over to your finance person and confirm what I'm saying.
Right.
So like if I say, here, you should sell these stocks to finance your kitchen remodel, here's why. And here's the spreadsheet. So it's like totally transparent why the advice is there, and it's free.
I know this sounds like an FBI investigation, but did you have any accomplices? Did you have anyone helping you?
Yeah, so what? No, I didn't. I spent 2 years on this.
By yourself?
Yeah. Because like this should happen. Like this is cool, and I don't need to
2
make
years.
money. I know.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to make money, but also, like, what was your day? Like, I know you can be a bit of an introvert, just knowing you a little bit. But what was your day like working on this for 2 years?
Well, I was also meeting a lot of people because I was in London, a lot of finance there. And I hired this artist to do these like Scrooge McDuck, like the
Yeah,
1920s
of
Scrooge McDuck, Donald Duck. So I made all these cartoons, or rather he drew them, of these various ideas. So the whole site's in black and white. It's got this kind of retro 1920s look to it.
Right.
And tax receipts, and it's cute. So I do it and I start showing it to people, and I get I got a couple different reactions. One is no one's going to believe this is real because you're not making money, and everyone thinks that bankers are crooks. And since you don't appear to be a crook, you can't possibly be for real.
Right.
And say, okay.
You have no motive, basically.
Right. So the people who do know me, they just go, they're gonna kill you.
Yeah.
You're gonna die. This is like when Skype came out and got rid of all the long distance revenue for South American countries.
Right.
Contracts were taken out on the Skype people.
Right.
Because it was so much money was being lost that was taken. So that was another thing that was said was just.
So you're showing it to people before going public.
Yeah, I hadn't launched it yet. I'm like, what do you think? Is this real?
And the people who said they're gonna kill you, those are people you trust their opinion. They're not like being hyperbolic.
They might be hyperbolic.
Okay, they might be.
But they're saying you're gonna really mess with billions of dollars of commissions if you launch this thing. Because people are gonna say, my banker is crap. Why am I using them? I'm just gonna use the stock market hacks thing. It's transparent. It's free. It's so much better. And if I had a business model, it would be like I would put a non-commercial use license on it. So it's like anyone can use this, but only to manage your own money. If you're managing someone else's money, you don't have the right to use this site. You have to pay me.
Right.
That would be like my business model.
Yeah.
Which isn't a very good business model because everyone can cheat.
No, because of course, yeah. When you have all the everything available for free, you're just leaning on people's morality.
Pay me because you should.
Exactly.
You trustworthy banker, you.
Yeah.
So what happened is I'm doing this thing, and essentially I'm like, oh, should I launch this? And the feedback I got was,
absolutely not.
You should do this as a bank. Like you should launch a new bank.
Right.
I go, oh, okay. Well, so I looked into it, and it turns out getting the regulatory approval to make a new bank is a long time. But you can, it turns out, buy a failed bank that's now dead.
Yeah.
And all you need is $100 million.
Okay.
Right. And I'm like, okay, well, this is a big idea. I probably can raise $100 million.
Yeah.
So I make some calls and I start meeting people who could fund this. And boy, were there a lot of people. So to be very clear, the name of this bank was First Transparent Bank.
So wait, that was not the failed bank. That was that was
my
your name, of course.
Yeah, it was firsttransparentbank.com. And funnily enough, that domain was available. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I know. Shocking. No one had claimed First Transparent Bank. I wonder if you struggled to get decentespresso.com as well.
No. Actually, the word decent, anything, decent donuts, decent coffee, decent knitting, and everything. No one's decent out there.
Yeah. I was joking. I'm sure if someone tried to come up with decent espresso 8 years ago, of course it would be available.
Yeah, well, I was called shit sandwich espresso.
Okay, so what happened with raising the money?
Okay, so what happens is I start meeting people, and someone said, this guy represents a lot of money, and I meet him in a cafe in Berkeley, California, and it turns out he's a close, intimate friend of Dick Cheney.
Amazing. Yeah. So he does have a lot of money.
He has a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he starts showing me and telling me about just how much evil he's involved in.
In braggy way.
Oh, yeah. Like this was a $4 billion arms contract I was involved in. Here I am doing coke lines with George Bush. No, he didn't do that.
Yeah. If they're gonna get you something, John, it's not gonna be this line, so don't worry about it.
And I just wanted to get away from this person. It was dark.
So you knew you can get the money.
The money was really easy. It's just that the people. What I thought I could go find people who were in the banking sector and then who had left it because they had ethical qualms and that they would like nothing more than to punk the banking industry.
Yeah, but what did you think a guy like this, why would he help you?
He would help me just because it's big money. Because essentially, First Transparent Bank would just destroy the entire banking sector.
Right.
Okay. Because the idea of being transparent about why we're investing your money, in what way, how our decisions came, and giving you the information so you can both replicate it, do it yourself, go somewhere else, prove that it's right. That's so antithetical to how the banking sector works.
Right.
The banking sector is all about secret fees and secret knowledge, and we have the smartest people on the planet and we're not going to explain to you anything
and what year was that?
This is like 2004.
Okay, so that's also before the 2008 crash. Because I would imagine that if the same thing is happening around the crash time or while it's crashing, that could have actually completely taken off.
Yeah, it's interesting that...
But you could also be looked at as one of the reasons it crashed. right?
I don't know.
It depends who you're.
I don't know. Let's not go into the reasons why it crashed. But
Yeah.
all I'd say is that just offering this information made me a kind of financial advisor.
Of course.
And so it turned out I'd need to get a certain certificate to do that. And then, that costs a little bit of money, but that's fine. I've got my money. I could go do that.
Can't you be like a guy on Reddit, like right now? You don't need like a freaking certificate anymore to give financial advice. There are like all like Reddit subreddit stuff for.
Yeah, I mean, that's all pretty much illegal.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much altering or trying to affect stock prices, probably to make some money on the backside. But
Sure.
that's just how the internet works.
Yeah.
Having a website where you tell people here's what's wrong with your stock portfolio and how to change it. That's just very clearly stock advisor.
Okay. And you need a licensing of some sort for that.
Yeah, and
depends
people
on
expect
the
me to have
jurisdiction.
some, make some money off of it. Otherwise, why the heck am I doing it? And the whole idea that I already made my money, I don't need more money, I
Yeah.
just want to punk the banking sector, I don't think people thought that was credible.
Right. So you met the Dick Cheney guy. You're like, absolutely not. I want to get away from this guy. So what happens next?
Oh God, I met someone else in the Seattle area, and he had all this Republican money. And what they were doing is they have the law there had just been changed so that you could sell marijuana through dispensaries, but only at select real estate locations.
Okay.
And what these people were doing was buying every single real estate location that was being made legal, and then not doing anything with it.
Oh wow! So it was just like an anti-marijuana thing.
It was, but no, they
yeah.
weren't. They didn't give a damn about marijuana.
Yeah.
It was all about basically getting a total monopoly on every place you could sell marijuana.
Oh, but I thought they're doing that and not running.
They were
the-
sitting on it
Yeah.
for the time being.
Oh, I see, I
in
see.
order to make, basically, it's just like diamonds.
Sure.
They would make a supply constraint.
Yeah.
So that the price would go up.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
So when you say certain real estate, so something like a real estate that is not next to a school or whatever,
Exactly.
something like that. I
Certain
see.
spots.
Sure.
And what was funny with these people, they didn't care about marijuana either way. They
Right.
just saw this as a real estate play.
Okay.
And what was interesting is the guy who was organizing this all, he was making money purely 10% of the funds raised. So he didn't actually even want to see this.
Right.
All it was is like, I have this stupid idea. I'm going to convince people I'm going to invest in this idea. People are going to give me $100 million, $200, $500 million. I get 10% of it. And then I walk away and I don't care if this crashes and burns, which
Right.
it did, because what happened is the government
Eventually legalized it everywhere.
Well, they noticed that there weren't enough places selling it, so
Yeah.
they just made more and more places legal.
Yeah.
And that was the same thing with the first guy too, the Dick Cheney friend. All the money, again, it's 10%. They get 10% fee on the money raised. So they're looking for people like me who have a compelling idea, and then they take that idea, they pitch it to their rich friends, who then give me the money, and they take their 10% and they walk away. And they don't care if I succeed or not. They just want to make their 10%. And by the way, that's how venture capitalists work too.
Right.
They get their fee up front from the fund itself, which
Right.
is why they just want to invest the money, so they get their fee off that. None of that is great for the people putting money in.
clearly. Okay, so did you end up raising the money? What happens after?
Yeah, so people told me this is a multi-billion-dollar idea. This is so huge, and what I was looking at was I already have enough money. Why do I want to do this for the next decade? This doesn't sound like a fun way to spend my time,
Right.
especially since I'm gonna be hated.
Yeah.
and I already had created 2 companies that had made me hated.
Right.
So, so with Magnatune, I had done this Creative Commons music thing, and the record labels wanted me dead.
Right. So that's another thing, because you mentioned a couple of times like that the music industry can be quite cutthroat.
Yeah.
And you mentioned like a specific meeting with someone who had a gun in a drawer.
Yeah, so I was buddies with the person who was running Napster at the time, and Napster was the big peer-to-peer piracy network,
Right.
and it was venture capital funded, and it was surviving. That guy actually got me into USA Today. I got a full-page story as the future. Am I the future destroyer of iTunes?
Nice.
And it turns out I wasn't. But he tells me this story of having met.
Hey, speaking of,
yeah.
follow us on iTunes. Apple Podcasts, I think they called it now.
Yeah, sure. Help the behemoth. And so he told me this story of meeting this major label executive, and this is the voice he used.
Right.
I've got this CD here. I want you to promote it on Napster. That's not how it works. People just download what they want. You listen to me? I have a gun in my drawer. Do you understand me? I tell you, you're going to promote this CD. I got a gun in my drawer. Are we understanding each other? Yes, sir, we are understanding each other.
They also have just like Italian mafia bosses.
Yeah.
Amazing. So back to First Transparent Bank.
Yes.
How did that end?
That basically ended with me looking at, okay, this can make a lot of money, but I only have so many decades left on the planet. I got enough money already. I still have the website all done. It's just under a password. I'm like, should I open it up? Should I not?
Yeah, so let's. I know we can go into 4 more stories, but I want to stay on this because I want to kind of try to understand how you think of it. So you're sitting on something so valuable and that can very easy, not even for money, raising money or making you rich. It's just like you can, if you want to be like, fuck the banks, you can release it tomorrow.
Yeah, have you ever followed the story of WikiLeaks? Do I want to be that guy?
I mean, okay, but we can not release this podcast and you can do it anonymously.
They will find me.
How?
When there's that much money being lost?
I'm not talking about encryption and using VPN. I'm serious. Like just follow this thought for a second.
If people can't sell cocaine online and not get raided by the government, how am I going to avoid the banking sector?
Because it's a click. You don't have anything. What tracks it back to you, except for the people you talked to back in the day?
Forensics. I mean, talk to Snowden. They would figure out. I would have to do all the same stuff that a dark web website would have to do in order to be hidden. They would very quickly figure out who I am. And I mean, initially, what would happen? Because it's happened with Magnitude. I had the major labels didn't want me to exist. And what they did is they would talk to the collecting societies in random countries.
Right.
Like Spain. And then Spain would say, hey, Magnitude in America, you're illegal. We're going to sue you. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I don't know you.
And then like, actually, I've been fighting Russian courts for a long time. Like, Russia? Okay.
Yeah.
Until recently.
Yeah.
So they find somebody somewhere to harass you. And that's what would happen is if I set this website up, it's available to the whole planet. I'm sure what I'm doing is completely illegal, penalty of death somewhere on the planet. And then they would go after me. And by the way, under U.S. law, not only do you have to comply with all U.S. laws, but you're not allowed to violate any other law of any other country either.
Right. And you're still, so that means you are also prosecuted back in the U.S. for violating, let's say, Hong Kong law or whatever law.
Yep.
Right. So you now have both.
Yeah, and I'm not even making money. So now I get to defend myself in court from this stuff. And so that's why the way to do this was to actually hire ex-bankers who would like to basically have fun. I mean, if I could have found the equivalent of the Napster people, but in banking, like people who were like, yeah, let's screw the banks. Those people, they're
But
scoundrels.
you can find whistleblowers, right?
But what I found is everyone in the banking sector who had any knowledge, their souls were already crushed to the point where someone who has an ethical backbone, I would still refer to them as a jellyfish. By normal standards. They just had enough that they just said, I didn't have a problem stealing from normal people, but when they stole the grandma who had cancer, then I had too much.
Right.
And it's essentially, okay, but you're okay with stealing from everybody else.
Yeah.
So
stealing from everyone's pensions or whatever it is. Yeah.
And anyone who goes into banking who has a spine, they're gone really quickly. They don't last a year. Sorry, bankers who are listening to this, but you get paid well to do what you do.
Right, but also if I'm someone who's listening to this or is like, all right, well, what the fuck did you do? You're sitting with something that could fix this, and you're afraid.
I'm totally afraid, yeah. Well, that's because just like, say, go back to the major labels, the president of France was the ex-CEO of a major label, and he made sure as soon as he got into power to crush music piracy. He didn't succeed.
Yeah.
But we know that the bankers in America are totally in bed with whoever is currently president.
Of course. And it doesn't matter at the end of the day what their political leanings are.
Yeah. So I don't want to destroy my life.
But you have been also, this is not the first time you're on record talking about this. So aren't you afraid of just even like, a certain government coming after you just for for being open about sitting on this kind of knowledge?
I don't know. Maybe I should just put it on GitHub and just walk away from it and see if someone does something with it. That's certainly been done before. I mean, that's how BitTorrent now is completely unstoppable because they just made it open source, so they couldn't stop it.
That's kind of what I was referring to. And again, this podcast, it can get pretty good numbers, but it can be not released at any point. And hey, something fun. With this much money, we can go after everybody who listens to this podcast and make them disappear. It's not going to be that hard.
But essentially, it comes down to a question of how do you want to spend your life?
Yeah.
And do you want to be Don Quixote and go down fighting and you won't win?
Yeah. I mean,
that metaphor was really not very good, by the way. Just moving on.
No, but like it's in a not to make it all sad and whatever, but this is something we have in common, because the reason I have left my country over 10 years ago is that I had exactly the same realization, is that you can fight, but even if you win, you're going to spend your entire life fighting, and maybe you win at the end, but what is it worth?
Yeah, I mean, you look at, for example, the pro-democracy people in Russia, and
that's it.
They're going to rot. Most of them will rot in the jail.
Yeah.
And maybe their children will experience democracy, but they certainly won't. And I both admire, but I also can't comprehend that.
Same, exactly same. And I think both having dabble, and I'm not equating myself to you in any way, form, or shape. I'm just saying
you made an ethical choice, and it was the one at your position. I mean, I had this weird ethical choice, which is, okay, I'm now a rich guy. What do I do with that? And what I ended up doing was trying to change the music industry, and then the other one I did was trying to change book publishing with a whole book swapping thing called Bookmooch. And I was hated for that too. When I went to book trade shows, the publishers wanted me dead because I was helping books that had been read not be thrown away, which prevented them from selling new books.
Right.
And so I was really hated, and that was no fun. And it turned out authors didn't like me either because they saw me as preventing new book sales, or like they only got paid for the first book sale, so they didn't want people to read a book again, like to read someone else's book. No one wants, everyone wants books in the book publishing industry to be destroyed after they're read once.
Including the authors. Wouldn't you think then, since you're not part of that word, wouldn't you think that's a fair thing if the authors are the owners of these books, that they can get to decide?
I have a real problem with that. And that's why I got involved with Creative Commons. My feeling is once you create a piece of culture, it is part of the world. And you do deserve to make a living and maybe even get rich from it.
Yeah.
But it is part of the world now. And you're going to have to release a little bit of control. I don't feel good about people who make something and then go super crazy control about it. I mean, it's admirable, just take a random example, how Star Wars and George Lucas has been really cool with people making fan films.
Right.
Whereas other IP holders
whenever
don't.
You touch that franchise, they come after you. Yeah.
And it hasn't exactly hurt Star Wars.
Yeah. Fascinating. I hope... That's actually not true. I kind of hope one day this episode becomes like a good part of your story, because that also means that this was the start of something and it will be kind of cool. On the other hand, I do hope you stay safe. I genuinely worry for you sometimes.
No, I mean, I right now what I've done is I switched to coffee because all I have is allies. Right.
You do have a lot of fans, to be honest.
Yeah, we have fans, and the people who don't like what we do, we're just puny. We don't matter. Whatever.
Yeah, it's not.
No one's actively trying to destroy us. It is not. No. It is not war. So we're not made enemies, and that's a much better way to live your life. So one of my heroes, Buckminster Fuller, had this advice, and I'm going to close on this.
Yeah.
Which is, if you want to change the world, don't attack it head on. Find a better way and people will follow you.
Wise words. Thank you so much, John, for coming on. Safe flight, and I'll talk to you next year. Well, not next year, when you come back.
In 2 days on the phone.
See you, John.